Greetings and welcome, this is KYC News for you. Today we will see what are reasonable gun control laws and how can they save lives. Stay tuned. What are common sense gun laws and how can they save lives? On May 24, Salvador Ramos, who was 18 years old, went to Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, with two AR-15 rifles. These rifles are civilian versions of the M4 carbine used by the U.S. military. In about 90 minutes, he killed or seriously hurt 19 kids under the age of 11 and two of their teachers. It was the 27th school shooting and the 213th mass shooting in the United States in the first 5 months of 2022. It happened just 10 days after another 18-year-old man, allegedly driven by white replacement theory, killed 10 people in a Buffalo, New York, grocery store with an AR-15 style rifle that he illegally bought. After each of these mass shootings, there was another round of news stories about heartbroken family members, scared survivors, and candlelight vigils. Another argument about why there is so much gun violence in America and why we can't seem to stop it. And another call for sensible gun laws to get rid of weapons of war in our communities and keep dangerous guns out of the hands of people who can't be trusted to use them safely. We're not talking about big changes like getting rid of the Second Amendment or changing the Constitution when we talk about common sense gun laws. Other countries with similar tragedies have something we don't: national gun laws that stop the kind of gun violence that often leaves our communities in ruins. But what, exactly, are common sense gun laws? People say this phrase a lot, but most people don't really know what it means. Recent polls show that about 60% of Americans want Congress to pass stricter gun laws, and nearly 90% of Americans support some measures, like making background checks stronger. We talked to experts to find out exactly what putting in place common sense gun laws would mean and how it could cut the number of gun deaths in America by a lot. What would common sense gun laws look like? On June 2, 2022, President Joe Biden gave his second and only direct address to the American people. He did this to ask Congress to change the country's gun laws after the shooting in Uvalde. Even though nothing was done after Columbine, Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, Parkland, and so many other mass shootings, the House of Representatives is going beyond the empty call for thoughts and prayers and bringing concrete proposals to the floor. H.R. 7910, the Protecting Our Kids Act, calls for major changes to gun control laws, such as raising the federal age limit for buying semi-automatic rifles, banning high-capacity ammunition magazines, increasing penalties for gun trafficking, encouraging safe storage of guns, updating laws that ban untraceable firearms, limiting the sale of bump stocks that make semi-automatic rifles fire almost continuously, like. On the day of President Biden's speech, the House's gun control bill passed the Judiciary Committee by a party line vote of 25-19. It now has 177 co-sponsors, all of whom are Democrats. Increasing minimum age requirements for gun ownership. Since the famous University of Texas Clock Tower massacre, which killed 14 people in 1966, criminologists at Hamline University and Metro State University have put together a huge database of mass shootings in the United States. Their research, which is written up in the Violence Project, shows a troubling fact: all mass shootings have been done by men or boys, and the average age of the shooters is 18. After the shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde, Senator Dianne Feinstein asked the Senate to make the age you have to be to buy an assault weapon or a high-capacity magazine 21 instead of 18. In fact, when he was governor of Florida, Republican Senator Rick Scott signed a similar bill into law as part of Common Sense Solutions after the Parkland school shooting. When the National Rifle Association, NRA, challenged the Florida law, lawyers for the state said that 18 to 20-year-olds are especially likely to act in impulsive, emotional, and risky ways. And putting the age limit for buying guns at 21 is a good way for the legislature to address its concerns about public safety. Drew Weston, Ph.D., a psychologist, says that the frontal lobes of the brain, which control impulse control and thinking about long-term effects, are not fully developed until we are about 25. So, even if they are legally adults, young people can't rent a car and have to pay more for insurance. A 2020 study by the RAND Corporation couldn't say for sure if minimum age gun laws cut violent crime or mass shootings, but it did find that suicides caused by guns went down. Banning high-capacity magazines. In a poll from 2021, 64% of voters said they somewhat or strongly supported a ban on high-capacity magazines, which let guns fire more bullets in a short amount of time. This is one of the things H.R. 7910 tries to do. The part of a gun that stores and feeds bullets is called a magazine. Most magazines hold 5 or 10 rounds, but some can hold 30 or more. When a shooter can keep firing that many bullets without stopping, the people being shot have little time to run or fight back. You can do a lot of damage with any gun that has a big magazine, says Laura Chiudaletta, managing director of the Giffords Law Center. This is because stopping to reload is often the only way to stop the shooter. It's important to remember that when gunmen stopped to reload during shootings in Tennessee, Seattle, Arizona, and a church in Southern California in May 2022, bystanders were able to tackle and subdue them. Even for people who own guns, the idea of 30-round clips is shocking. This is especially true for hunters, whose bullet counts are strictly regulated. When you hunt, you can only use a certain number of rounds based on what you're hunting, says gun owner and Stop Handgun Violence founder John Rosenthal. It's 3 if you're hunting ducks. If you want to hunt people, there are no limits. Tom O'Connor, a member of the Board of Gun Owners for Responsible Ownership, GOFRO, says, if we can limit the number of rounds to protect ducks and deer, we can certainly do it to protect kids. At the moment, only 9 states and the District of Columbia ban high-capacity magazines, which usually can only hold 10 bullets or less. In Oregon, a group called Lift Every Voice Oregon has been working to get a law like this on the ballot for a public vote in November. Increasing federal penalties for gun trafficking. Gun trafficking and buying guns legally for illegal purposes are already against the law at the federal level. For example, a person with no legal problems might buy a gun just to sell it to someone who isn't allowed to buy a gun legally in a state that doesn't require background checks for private sales. Or, the buyer could take guns from a state with few restrictions to a state with stricter restrictions. This is a problem in places like Chicago, where gun rights activists often point their guns at people to show that gun control laws don't work. Chicago has strict gun laws, but the state lines with Indiana and Wisconsin, where gun laws are less strict, are just a short drive away. H.R. 7910 makes anti-trafficking laws stronger by broadening the definition of trafficking and adding harsher punishments for convictions, such as taking away property that was bought with money from illegal gun sales. Passing and enforcing gun storage laws. When it comes to keeping kids safe, stopping school shootings isn't the only thing to think about. From 2009 to 2019, about 14,000 American children were killed by guns. More than a third of these kids killed themselves, and another 6% were shot by accident. What do both situations have in common? Guns that were unlocked and ready to use were in the house. One of the most popular common-sense gun control laws would require gun owners to keep their weapons locked up and out of reach of children, thieves. One study says 380,000 guns are stolen every year, and other people who shouldn't have access to them. A Politico poll from May 2022 found that 76% of Americans agree that guns should be kept in safe places and that only 15% disagree. H.R. 7910 would make a federal law about how to store guns and give gun owners tax breaks to buy safe places to store their guns. At the moment, 28 states have laws about children having unsafe access to guns, 14 have negligent storage laws, 6 have criminal penalties for giving a child access to an unlocked gun, and 8 more make it a crime if the child hurts someone with an unlocked gun. Some or all of these laws are on the books in a number of states. In 2021, GOFRO made a change to Oregon's law on safe storage by adding civil liability. You are responsible for what happens if a child gets a hold of your gun and hurts themselves or someone else, says O'Connor. You can't argue you left the gun available, you're liable. There are signs that these laws are working to stop gun violence. The RAND Corporation says that laws about safe storage could cut the number of deaths in the United States by 6%. Based on the fact that about 40,000 people die from guns every year, that could save 2,400 lives every year. We really hope that you learned the most from this video. If so, please like it and remember to subscribe to this channel for more. Enjoy your time.